Welcome to Race 8 of the World Nascar Champions. We head over to the northwest of the United States for the Seattle-Washington 500. The last 3 races at this very racetrack, we've seen great finishes. Now let's take a look at your drivers to watch out for. Starting on the pole is Kyle Larson. This is Larson's favorite track in the World NASCAR Champions, with 2 wins back in 2014 and earlier this year to win the Volume 2 of the World NASCAR Champions. Could Kyle Larson get his point lead back with another win at Seattle? He is looking for 3 for 4 with wins at this very racetrack. After a nasty wreck at Daytona, Kyle Busch is starting 3rd. He won at this very racetrack back in 2016 and won the Dale Earnhardt Senior Classic earlier this year. Could Kyle Busch go back to victory lanes with this M&M's Caramel Toyota? The last time he used this paint scheme is where he drove to victory lane at San Diego in race 3. Can't forget about your point leader, Darrell Wallace Jr. is starting 9th. It has been a great year for that iconic 43 for Darrell Wallace Jr. Could he maintain that point lead after Seattle? The key is for Darrell Wallace Jr. is to be consistent as we move closer to the postseason. Finally, it has been a long time coming, but last race at Daytona, Chase Elliott grabbed his first career win in the World NASCAR Champions. A lot has changed after his win at Daytona. Chase Elliott found confidence and hoped to be in the top 3 before the season finale at Los Angeles. Chase Elliott rolls off 7th. Now let's get ready for the command to fire engines.
Drivers, start your engines!
As the engines are all fired up, let's take a look at your starting grid. In row 1, it's Kyle Larson and Kevin Harvick. In row 2, it's Kyle Busch and Brad Keselowski. In row 3, it's Ryan Blaney and Martin Truex Jr. In row 4, it's Chase Elliott and Jimmie Johnson. In row 5, it's Darrell Wallace Jr. and Eric Almirola. In row 6, it's Eric Jones and Joey Logano. In row 7, it's Matthew DeFonte and Glenn Boyer. In row 8, it's Ryan Newman and Denny Hamlin. In row 9, it's Alex Bowman and Carl Edwards. In row 10, it's Austin Dillon and Kurt Busch. In row 11, it's Daniel Suarez and Trevor Bayne. In row 12, it's Jay McMurray and Paul Menard. In row 13, it's AJ Allmendinger and William Byron. And finally out in the final row, it's Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and Chris Buescher. As the field is set, Kyle Larson and Kevin Harvick leads the field to the green flag at Seattle. It's going to be a tough day to pass Kyle Larson because once he's into the lead, Kyle Larson doesn't look back. Kyle Larson's going to lead the first lap, followed by Kyle Busch. Last week at Daytona, Kyle Larson lost his point lead and fell back all the way 4th in the point standings. But with this track on the schedule and points are doubled, this will help him defend his title as we move closer to the postseason. Kyle Busch is closing the gap little by little. Kyle Busch's lap times are better than Kyle Larson. Kyle Busch saw the opening. It's the Kyle and Kyle show once again. A battle for the lead on lap 4. And Kyle Busch clears Kyle Larson. Kyle Busch in that beautiful M&M's Caramel car. Every time I see that paint scheme, it knows a way to work its way through the front. Kyle Busch is going to lead the 4th lap. As Kevin Harvick is on outside of Kyle Larson, a battle for the 2nd spot. As Kevin Harvick clears Kyle Larson for the 2nd spot. We already reached halfway into this race. Kyle Busch still leads over Kevin Harvick. Kevin Harvick's car is starting to close the gap from Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch is running on the bottom, and Kevin Harvick is running in the middle. Brad Keselowski is trying to battle Kyle Larson for the 3rd spot, and it was not really a battle there as Keselowski takes 3rd away from Kyle Larson. Harvick is starting to get closer to the lead, and Alex Bowman goes for a spin and slams the turn 3 wall. The caution is out for the first time. So Alex Bowman was battling Carl Edwards for the 17th position. Alex Bowman thought he cleared Carl Edwards but miscalculated him and sent him into the wall. Now there's some minor damage to Carl Edwards in the Aflac Ford. Carl Edwards decided to stay on the track because track position is very important instead of fixing a dent and losing a bunch of track position. Here's another look of that crash with full speed. We're ready to restart with 3 laps to go. Kyle Busch dominated the first half of the race. Could he close the deal and go to victory lane for the 2nd time? Kevin Harvick up high. He clears Kyle Busch as Kyle Busch doesn't get going on this restart as Brad Keselowski gets second. A rivalry renewed at Seattle. If you don't remember what happened at Charlotte, these two hated each other because they had a chance to win at Charlotte. Brad Keselowski bumps Harvick. Brad is going to take the lead away on the backtrack as Kevin Harvick maintains his speed. Harvick does the same to Brad Keselowski, and it's no holds barred here at Seattle with 1 lap remaining. Down in turns 1 and 2 for the final time, Brad Keselowski sends Harvick to the wall. Brad spins. Kevin Harvick has his tires down, hits the wall, and Ryan Blaney, where did he come from, is going to win at Seattle in a shocking turn of events.
That's a bad.
A couple words to describe this finish. What just happened? You can see the damage has been done, both Brad Keselowski and Kevin Harvick. As you see, they didn't make it to the finish at Seattle. Now let's take a look at the replay. What just happened? Brad just sent Kevin Harvick to the wall, and Brad Keselowski spins out. You can see he just got loose and just went straight on into the inside wall very hard. And you can see Kevin Harvick's tire went down, and then Ryan Blaney, where did he come from, is going to score the victory at Seattle. So congratulations, Ryan Blaney. He gets to burn it down at Seattle, and he may be asking, how did I win this race? So Ryan Blaney wins at Seattle. His last win came from Talladega, and there's a fight at the garage. I could tell you, I'm not even surprised. Now let's take a look at your finishing results presented by Goodyear. So it's Ryan Blaney, then Kyle Busch, Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott, and Martin Truex Jr. that secures the top 5. Now let's take a look at your drivers outside of the top 20. You see Kevin Harvick finished in 26th and Brad Keselowski finished in 27th. Now let's take a look at your point standings after Seattle. So Ryan Blaney, with his win at Seattle, will secure the point lead, and Kyle Busch is second in the point standings with a 2-point gap, and Kyle Larson is going to be third in the point standings. And Kevin Harvick is 16th in the point standings, and Brad Keselowski is 18th in the point standings after their actions on the final lap. Now here's your other point standings, drivers that are outside of the top 20. See, Alex Bowman fell from 13th all the way to 21st in the point standings. And not a good day for Alex Bowman, and a tough day at the track. So our next race will be held at San Diego, but for the first time ever, we're going to run at the infield course. It's going to be the America's finest track and field 400 at San Diego. Now let's take a look at your finishing results highlights. Kyle Busch finished in second. He's currently second in the points with a 2-point gap over Ryan Blaney. And Chase Elliott finished in 5th. He's currently 4th in the point standings with an 8-point gap. So Chase Elliott is outside of the top 3, but he has to be consistent in order to battle out at Los Angeles. So once again, congratulations Ryan Blaney. He wins at Seattle. His last win came from Talladega back in 2017. And we'll see you at San Diego for an America's finest track and field 400. This is World NASCAR Champions. We'll see you at San Diego.